if I'm in a relationship and this other person's in a relationship, we're all happy and we're all
Yeah.
trying to understand how to communicate. Is it then we need to identify our communication style and then communicate in the way that the person can understand us best? Or do we do like some people do and say that, you know what, I'm going to communicate with you this way and you better understand it?
Yeah. So there's some disciplines that suggest that the receipt of the message is dependent on the receiver, and then some that say it's dependent on the speaker. And I think both are true. If you know someone's information, if you know someone's preference for how they like to receive information, then use that. And and what I mean by that, so say for example, say someone feels more comfortable when there's touch involved. And they're more likely to be able to hear when they're being connected with physically, just maybe a handhold or an arm around the shoulder. Then do that, use that, right? And maybe someone has the opposite. They don't want to have any kind of contact when they're having these types of conversations. Then use that. I think it is up to the responsibility of the speaker to speak or communicate in a way that their message will be heard. And if it's communicated in one way and it's missed, then try a different way. And if that's missed, then try a different way. Use different words, position yourself differently. So actually changing how you're aligned in physical space to the person. All of these types of things can change how messages are received. Yeah, it's a complex topic, communication.
It is, because I look at, let's say, if we take a step outside relationships, let's say we do public speaking, we're communicating with someone, right?
Yeah.
If I'm trying to get my message across to you, Tanya, or to someone else, it is my responsibility to get that message across as clear as possible and as simple as possible so the receiving audience understands it.
Yes.
Now, when you put two people in a relationship now, that where the waters get muddy, right? To your point, right? Is it my responsibility? Is it your responsibility? Or is it a mixture of both? And you mentioned touch, and then I remember the book, The Five Love Languages.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I buy you a gift. Okay. I'm sorry I embrace you. Okay. I'm sorry I give you words of affirmation. Okay. So these are ways to communicate, right? I'm sorry I give you quality time, so on and so forth. But then I look at it as how many people ask the question, because I had to actually learn this. How do you want to be loved? How do you want to be communicated to? And then wait for the answer, because the way that my partner wanted to be communicated to was different than the way I wanted to be communicated. So we had to learn that together. But there are some growing pains there. But these are two people that have the experience. What if someone was getting into it and they're like, "You just don't understand me"? What do they do then, Tanya?
There's so many layers to that, but I think I'm going to just answer your question in a second here because what you're speaking to is this idea of communicating about communicating. What is it that you need for me to feel heard as when you're speaking and I'm the listener? What is it that I can do to help you hear me better? And having these dialogues about it's meta communication, it's a high level form of communication. Like, what is the best scenario, environment for us to be able to actually effectively listen and speak to each other? So you just don't understand me is probably an old trigger from very early on, right? That's probably replaying itself with this new face in this new partnership, this new relationship. And not saying it's new, but just like new compared to being in childhood. And so you don't understand me is probably an old wound. And how do we deal with that? Then we start asking those questions. Okay, You're right. I'm not understanding. I want to understand. Explain it to me in a different way. Explain it to me as if you're teaching a child how to do it. And just keep being there and being available and present for them to find a way to communicate their truth that they're trying to express.